Hello, everyone.
Welcome to the Tiff Jack Show, a podcast devoted to helping you dump the overwhelm and live the happy. Today is episode 16, Do Less, Accomplish More, helping you understand the path of least resistance.
Oh my gosh, doesn't that sound nice? Do less and accomplish more.
Oh boy, does it.
I wonder how many of our listeners right now think that we're full of crap. Because
you know what? I know, because honestly, every single one of us on this planet has been taught that you have to work hard to get what you want. A lot of times that is just the MO that we were all raised with. And
yep, totally.
You just think that you have to work harder and harder and harder to get more. And we are debunking that myth. And today is food for thought to help you realize life does not have to be so goddamn hard.
Right.
Period. So enjoy. It's been an awesome week. You may hear some of the remodeling. We've been talking about this. It's still going on.
Yeah, you might hear it right now. If you hear hammering or whatever.
This is reality podcasting. So you're going to get it like it is. Although we didn't include the belch right before we started recording that I did. Tiff thought that was a little too real.
Yeah.
So we just, I just cleared that out before we got started. So here we are. I'm Jack.
And I'm Tiff.
And we are so glad to be here with you today.
Oh, I've got the giggles.
What a week.
I've got the giggles.
We have some really exciting news to talk about. I think the first of which would be the heart stuff.
My heart
Your
stuff.
Heart stuff.
Oh, I'm already moved on.
No one else has. Last episode 15, Tiff shared about her heart stuff that had been happening. And she went to the heart doctor and did a stress test this week and had some really amazing experiences there and some results that she's going to share.
Well, when I got in there, first of all, I think I talked about this with all my blood work and stuff I started a couple of weeks ago, and I was so shocked to see how amazing all my blood work was. Like everything they tested was perfect, which really did shock me because I just have been not feeling fantastic like I'd like to. So I'm like, oh gosh. But it just goes to show that when you do your inner work, you do your meditation, and you really focus on what you want, your body just heals itself so beautifully. So the last thing that I needed to do was the stress test, which was this last Wednesday. Went in, oh my God, they wouldn't let Jack come back with me. And I had to walk on a treadmill without my bra. Okay? Like, I'm just going to be like, since this is explicit, I can talk about my boobs,
Absolutely,
right?
you can. I talk about them all the time. So I guess it would be more than appropriate.
So, I'll just say this. I don't go anywhere without my bra because I'm very well endowed and it wouldn't be polite.
What a funny choice of words.
It would draw a lot of attention if I went around without my bra. So I had to put this stupid gown on and get all this stuff hooked up to me and get this belt wrapped around me. And I'm walking on this treadmill without my bra. And finally I was just like, oh, what the hell? Let's just do this. You have to get your heart up to 158 beats, and which I never do because I don't go running or anything like that. So I got to about 152 and it would not budge. And I was getting extremely fatigued. And I had an IV in my arm to put some ink in so they can look at my heart very clearly with the ultrasound. And I'm going very fast and walking up a very steep incline and I'm getting very tired and it will not budge. So the lady that's working with me, the nurse, she said, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to imagine you're being chased by a bear. And I thought, okay, I'll do that. So I just imagined myself running through a creek in the wilderness, being chased by a bear. In literally a split second, my heart rate jumps to 172 and then 189. And I kid you not, it was less than 1 second. And both nurses gasped and said, that has never happened before.
And they were scrambling to get the dye because it happened so fast.
And they said, usually we talk to people about politics and it helps it climb a little bit, but I have never in all the time I've been here seen anything like that. And I said, you just don't know how powerful my mind is.
Yes, right. And if I were in there, that's when I would be talking about this woman that's sitting next to me. her mind is so incredibly powerful. She can visualize like nobody's business. She is incredibly gifted and has worked with her thoughts her entire life. And your visualization skills are profound.
And
obviously.
I'm a pretty fast manifester at this point.
really, really fast. And it's all about manifesting and being able to see what it is you want. And my God, you saw a bear and your heart rate responded immediately.
And it really did make me think about, the things that I'm creating and the negative things that I think as well. Speaking of thinking negative, last week, someone in my life that I care about made me extremely mad. And,
no
whatever,
names.
no names, no deep description, because that's irrelevant. But I just want to get to a point that I got very angry about something. And sometimes when I'm angry, I just hold words in. And my personality is so strong. If I were to say the words that I'm thinking, it would seem quite volatile. So I just was steaming inside and went downstairs, started to make my breakfast, which of course consists of rice and eggs. And the wooden spoon was on the side of the pan and it was burning. And I didn't know that.
It was so burning that I kept smelling wood fire and couldn't figure out. And because of the construction, a lot of times you just figure, it's this, that, or the other. And I kept noticing it smelled so much like fire, wood burning. And Tiff, the next thing I know, picked up that spoon and put her finger right on that red hot burning ember in the wood and charred her finger. It was so bad.
3rd-degree burn.
So bad.
And which made my angry morning more angry. But immediately I just put it under water and rubbed it, which they say do not do, but I am a healer and I do it my way. So I just rubbed really cold water and put a Band-Aid on with some burn cream. And I sat down and I pulled up my app that talks about burns from Louise Hay. I have an app that she's got all these ailments that you have in your body and emotionally what causes them. And of course, I open it up and it is incensed, burning anger and fury type of thing, which is of course exactly what I'm feeling.
That's the way it works.
And I am a very, very quick manifester at this point in life, whether it's what I want or what I don't want. So I realized that part of my energy was attracting this experience. Now, many of you may disagree with this because you've had really hard things happen and you don't want to own that maybe you had something to do with that because of the thoughts that you believe. That's going to be completely up to you. As far as I am concerned with my own life, I know that everything in my experience that happens and has happened is because of the thoughts that I have thought about myself. And a lot of those thoughts have been very negative. And being a quick manifester at this point in life, I'm very watchful and aware of my thoughts. And every now and then, I will end up having something very uncomfortable happen. And I take a look at my thoughts immediately. And of course, I recognize that, okay, that's part of this problem. And I clear those out. So I had this 3rd-degree burn and I had 3 healings the next day. And I just thought, it's on my right hand, on my pointer finger. And I use my hands all the time in our work. So I was a little stressed about it. But I just kept a Band-Aid on it and went on with my day. The pain from the burn cream made the pain go away in a couple of hours. But I had a very large blister that I was waiting for it to rise and pop, and then we could get the healing process going. Anyway, to make a long story short, or a short story short, the next day I went and had 3 healings that day, and I just kept a Band-Aid on my finger. And then I went into the healings, and that evening, so 24 hours later, Jack said, "How's your finger doing?" And I looked down and the burn was completely gone, as though it didn't exist.
You couldn't even tell anything had happened to her finger.
Yeah. And I'm just still looking at it today.
That was a moment of pause where we both sat there looking at that, thinking to ourselves the implication of what a powerful healing manifester you are, that you created fast, powerful healing.
Well, and I just know that if this is something if this is the life that I live, then everyone can live it because I'm not anything different than anyone else. I did get my heart result test and my heart is perfect.
Oh my God.
So everything has just been healing itself. And I I was just very humbled at the fact that my body is working with me. And as I learn to live walk this path of least resistance, I'm watching my body heal very quickly and change and morph into the body that I have been wanting to create. So I just feel fantastic right now. Very happy. And you were very relieved yourself.
Oh, very, very, very relieved. You know how it is when you go through something a little stressful and you're holding it together, you're doing fine. And then the stress is lifted off. And then you have the little moment of breakdown where you just, all the emotion comes flooding out in that moment. I was so happy and so relieved.
Yeah.
So relieved.
So my message about all this really is that what you think is what you'll be creating in your experience. And if you learn to live in the path of least resistance, which we're going to go into detail today after we share a little bit more about our week, but
we have 4 steps.
Yeah, it's going to be so amazing. And our job really is to make living the law of attraction as absolutely simple as possible. I do believe it's the simpleness is the way.
Yes.
Complicated, so many information out there. It can just feel so complicated. It can feel so overwhelming. And our job is to teach you how to create the life that you want in a simple, easy, step-by-step way.
Yeah. That's right. Yep. Dump the overwhelm, live the happy.
Yes.
Do less, accomplish more. It all goes hand in hand. I wanted to share about a video that we watched this week. You may have seen it on Facebook or somewhere. I know it just got released just barely, from America's Got Talent. And it was a video of Mandy Harvey, who is a 29-year-old girl. She's deaf and she's a singer. She went deaf when she was 18 years old and she started singing when she was 4 years old. So she walks out on the stage and Simon Cowell starts talking to her and he asks who her translator was, or the, what do you call that person that does the signing for her?
Just the
translator.
Yeah,
I guess the person that was talking to her. And she said, this is my person, that's signing. And she could speak absolutely clear. And so then Simon said, when did you go deaf? And she started telling him a little bit of her story and what happened. And she had a connective tissue disorder when she was 18 and got sick and lost her hearing. And he said, why are you, tell us why you're singing the song that you're singing today. And the song is Try. And she said, the reason I'm singing this song is because after I lost my hearing, I just was done. I felt so devastated. And I know any one of us that have our hearing, the thought of losing your hearing would be so tragic. It would be such a hard thing to deal with. And she said, so she was tired and she wanted more. She wanted to do more and live her life bigger than where she had gone after she got this news and lost her hearing and all of that. So she had her shoes off and they asked her why she had her shoes off. And she said it's so she could feel the beat through the floor. She learned how to sing by feeling and knowing and recognizing.
Well, she was a singer before.
Yeah. So she understands beat and all of that. So she could feel, she was following the beat with her feet. She played a ukulele and she sang, and it is phenomenal. If you have not seen it, you must watch it. It is so amazing. You see her dad standing over on the side.
Oh, it made me sob.
We were both just crying. It just gets you right in the feels.
Yeah.
And that's those moments when you're watching something like that. That's the truth of all of us.
That's so inspiring. Oh. I saw that and I just thought every one of us can have anything that we want. There's nothing we can't be, do, or have.
No, every single one of us.
If we will just
try.
Yeah. If we will just see it as it is.
It was amazing.
I love it.
So she sang and did her thing, and Simon Cowell, everyone's giving her a standing applause, which she's watching. And then he said, you're not going to need your interpreter for this. And he reaches up and hits the golden buzzer, which I think preempts all the others.
Yes.
And she just started to cry, and her dad's crying. It was I'm going to cry just thinking about it. We just watched it again. It's so beautiful. So Mandy Harvey is her name. Just do Mandy Harvey, America's Got Talent on YouTube. Google it. You'll find it.
You'll find it.
Watch
it's amazing.
It's a really amazing feeling. It'll lift you up.
Yes.
It was so good. And talking about lifting up, let's talk about our plant. This is so awesome. We have an amazing, I'm going to let you tell what you said.
Okay.
We have this amazing big leafed plant that we got from Tiff's mom, who is a green thumb extraordinaire. Okay, her mother is just out of this world. It's like the Garden of Eden at her house. And she did this plant. Gave us a cutting. How old is this plant?
This plant is about 35 years old. And when my mother found it, she was cleaning an office, opened a closet at an office, and there was a plant there. The plant was in there, and it was just a stick. She thought, well, I'll just take this home and water it and see what happens. And she revived this plant, and it is still today. It is the most beautiful.
It's like a tree.
It's like, you know what it is? It reminds me of what you would find out in the jungle.
Me too. Like it always reminds me of dinosaur era tree leaf plants.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Huge. Beautiful. So she gave me a big cutoff of it. And she told me what to do. So we came home and did it. And it just got so like
wilty. It was looking like it was dying.
On the yes.
We pulled it out and put it just in water to see if we could get some more roots to grow. It started growing roots. Tiff planted it back in the soil. And within maybe a day, it started looking droopy. Its leaves were drooping clear down to the floor.
And I kept calling my mom and saying, okay, this plant's really important to me. I need you to tell me what to do. And she goes, well, you can do what I did to my plant. And it was the same plant years ago. And my mom said, you know what? If you're going to die, just do it. Just be done. And I'll just throw you away. And my mom, and this is our personality. Okay? So the plant within a day just perked up and just turned into this thing, this plant that will never die. So I just was so fed up with the plant. I just looked at the plant and I said, you know what? You just have to make a choice for yourself. Either you're going to live or die. It doesn't mean anything to me. If you die, I'll just throw you away. And my mom told me to tell the plant this. No shit. In 2 hours, it looked like a completely different plant.
Truly.
And we've been laughing about it for weeks.
Day.
And now it is just
it's
like
reaching
the most
to the
glorious,
sky.
happy plant.
Alive.
It's the funniest thing. And my mom came for the wedding for our son. And I said, Mom, I did what you told me. Look at the plant. She goes, I told you. And I just thought it was kind of funny. It actually worked.
Totally.
And now I just walk past the plant and caress the big, huge leaves and say, I love you. You are so amazing. And it's just getting taller.
Amazing.
And all these new sprouts and leaves are starting to come. It is gorgeous. Oh my gosh. Yes.
It really
is. The whole
is.
thing's just funny.
It is so funny. So funny. And then the other fun thing we did this week was cookie baking with little Grand Nugget.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the first time you've never done that with her before, have you?
No, I mean, she's just
barely turning 2.
Yeah, in a week, she'll be turning 2. And she has, her attention span is a little wild. So she would get up there and help me for just a second. And then she'd get down, but she'd keep coming back for little tastes of dough. So I would give her little tastes of chocolate dough. And it was just a delightful time, a good memory. And these are the kinds of things that are just really important to me. And I just feel like as we talk about this topic of doing less to accomplish more, to really understand the path of least resistance, the reason this is so important is so that we have time in our lives to do the things that bring us joy. And for me, that's cooking, baking cookies with my grandbaby, or by myself for that matter. And Jack has the things that he likes to do. And you really have to adopt the mentality of doing less to create more if you want time to do the joyful things in life.
Boy, that is so true. So true.
And on top of that, it means you're staying out of the way of pushing against the universe. And we will be talking about that during this podcast. So should we get started?
Yeah, let's do. So, okay, as we said at the beginning, most of us on this planet have been taught that working hard is the way you get things that you want, that you need to work harder and put in more effort, push harder, longer hours, less sleep, whatever you have to do to make it happen, you have to do that.
So the path of least resistance is based on the fact that universal intelligence functions with effortless ease, okay? If you take a look at nature, let's just take a look at nature. You know that every single day the sun's going to rise. You don't even have to think about it. You don't have to set your intention. I hope the sun rises. That's
So
what I
those
want.
trees can
It
grow.
just happens. The trees in the seasons, their leaves die and they grow back. The grass doesn't have to think about growing. It just grows. Our heartbeat. We don't have to think about our heart beating to have it beat. It just does it. It's on its own. Our hair grows.
And even consider this, if a forest burns down with a fire, that opens up an entirely new system of plants growing up. It creates a clearing for new plants, and old growth is cleared out. So no matter what's happening, there's always more coming in
Always.
to bring in more.
And we
more
don't
and
ever
more.
have to think about it. It just is what it is. And that is how it is for us as human beings. But we have this idea that, oh my gosh, if I don't do this and this and this, I'm not going to have this kind of life. We are such a scarce people, and we want to just introduce something new to your amazing, beautiful, powerful mind, that you are not here to live in scarcity. You are here to live in abundance in all areas of life. And we want to give you some simple steps to really start incorporating into your life so that you can start experiencing that and releasing that old dead weed of thinking, if I don't do this really hard, if I don't work hard and prove myself, I'm not going to have what I want.
God, I think this podcast is for me.
I think so.
As we started talking about topics this week, what we were going to talk about yesterday especially was a pinnacle day of me feeling incredibly overloaded and frustrated and wondering how to get everything in, which is life, right? Exactly what we're talking about. And then I remember and considered that the universe has my back and that I don't have to push myself harder and harder and harder. And the very things that we're talking about today really are directly linked to what I'm thinking about for myself and recalibrating.
Well, what are some of the things that you thought? And listeners, I want you to ask yourself the same question. What are some of your beliefs about working hard? Like, what were you taught? What were you conditioned? In order to have the things that you want, what did you have to do?
Oh, well, for me, the conditioning that I was raised with, you work from morning until night. You don't even sit down and take a rest or a nap.
Wow.
And if you do, you're going to feel guilty about it. And I still watch my mother, who is in her latter mid 80s and still going strong and pushing herself and feeling guilty if she sits down to watch a movie or something. And that is the programming that I was raised with, that you work your ass off all day long, period. And you just work harder and harder and harder. And so I'm constantly working on my programming around that and shifting and doing things a little differently to create balance within my own life.
And I just, as you were talking, you've done so well at just learning how to slow down a little bit, and then you kind of get back into your.
I do. I kind of lean back into this.
Yeah,
running faster.
It takes a little
and
while
harder
to unravel the conditioning, but where you are now is so.
Oh wait,
different.
so much better, because I understand the concepts of what we're going to be teaching today. The 4 steps of living the path of least, being on the path of least resistance.
And I was thinking,
doing less, accomplishing more.
My conditioning is that no matter what you do, you're not going to have enough. So no matter how hard you work, so it's like, F it then. If I'm not going to have enough anyway, I might as well just not work my ass off. Absolutely.
Wow.
And on top of that, you're going to get sick, so you won't be able to work hard.
Oh God.
And as you can see, this is just something, I will be 46 next month. And I am creating a life of health, like I've shared before in prior podcasts. This year is all about self-care and getting very clear on what I want with my health. And it is working. It is
Oh my God.
working.
It is working.
And
it is working.
And I have shifted my belief now that, I'm never going to have what I want. I am always amazed at when, I sit in our gorgeous home and I look around and I think everyone can create the life they want, because where I have come from, which was illness, depression, poverty, I am living a completely different life. And I have so much joy just looking around me at all the beautiful things. And we have so many loving people in our life that share their gifts with us. We just received a gift today from a past client that's a wedding gift. And we just last week got a beautiful painting from
Oh my God.
this amazing artist, Kelly
Yes, we
Verstraete.
did.
And it's sitting here in our windowsill. And I just look around and the flowers that are on our table and the amazing food in our kitchen and the beautiful plants that are flourishing in our house because I threatened them. And I just feel this sense of amazing gratitude for what is possible. And it every time more happens, I see more possibility. And we literally are creating the life that we love by living the path in the path of least resistance. And so this is why I'm so excited to talk about it.
Well, and just my own experience where I have come from and living an authentic life and doing what feels good to me and feels best to me by transitioning from a female body to a male body.
Yeah.
Being seen as for who I am, living authentically, running a business, having a life with my wife and blending our kids and having an amazing family. And all of that flies in the face of what I was taught and how I was supposed to be. You're supposed to literally not live for what would make you happy, but do only what you're supposed to do.
Whether you're happy or not.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Kill me now.
The path of least resistance for me is doing what makes me happy, which is living this life that I'm living today. There's no way I could have gotten here if I didn't start incorporating and doing the belief work around what it would mean about me if I actually do those things and live this way.
You know, I need to bring this up. So this morning, I could not sleep last night. I just don't know what was going on, but I got up and I just started watching positive YouTube videos. And who is the guy? Will Smith, the actor Will Smith. He was up and he was talking to people about how he was drinking with his friends and he was kind of just doing like a little story. So I don't know if this was his real story or not, but he was talking about drinking with your friends. Then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, we're going to go skydiving tomorrow. Then you go home and you go to bed and sober up and you're like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to go skydiving. What the hell was I thinking? I don't want to look like an idiot, so I guess I'm going to go. So the guy that he's talking about is so anxious and gets up and goes and meets all his buddies to skydive. And they get on the plane and he's like, what in the hell am I doing? I can't do this. So everyone's getting ready to jump out of the plane. And they count to 3, 1, 2, 3. And at 2, the people on the plane push you out because at 3, everyone grabs the side. Okay. So it's like 1, 2, and then push. And he says, and once you hit the air, that fear that you thought you were going to die is gone. All of a sudden you're in pure bliss and fear is completely gone because you're actually flying. And it is so exhilarating. And he said, that is the story of life. He said, God made everything on the other side of terror.
Oh my God, that is so true. I would say that is 100% true.
And I can say that Jack and I, we have walked through fear and we literally are on the other side of many of those fearful places. And Will Smith is absolutely correct because on the other side of fear is bliss.
It is.
And if you will just be brave and walk toward what it is you want and jump out that door on the count of 2 instead of 3.
Or get pushed out.
Yeah, because the universe is good at pushing you right out of that door. You will find more bliss in your life than you can imagine.
Yeah.
So I loved that.
I love that too.
It's on my Facebook page.
It is. We all, to have the life that we want, that we're always creating more and more and more. And it really is what we want is on the other side of making some pretty intense choices for yourself that might be hard decisions to make, or you're going to lean into the unknown no matter what it is, because you're reaching for something more than you have right now. And it's not familiar because you're not in it.
Right. And let me tell you something. Doing this through the path of least resistance, these 4 steps we're going to give you are going to make life so much easier when you make those decisions.
Yep. Absolutely.
And you are still going to have fear that comes up.
Yep. Absolutely.
But you just walk through it and practice these steps and it will change your entire life and you will start manifesting things you can't even imagine.
Mm-hmm. That's how you do it.
Okay. So our big problem is, one of the big problems that we have is our need to control circumstance or other people. Does this sound familiar? When you try to control outer circumstances or other people, you are actually wasting energy that could be challenged in creating the things that we want.
Channeled.
You
said challenged.
I meant channeled.
Into creating what you want.
So as you create the things that you want, you're going to be doing that by thinking about what you want and living in the path of least resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Attention to ego is what consumes the greatest portion of our wasted energy.
And I love Course in Miracles' definition of ego. Ego is nothing more than a fearful thought. And I don't know about you, but I have been a student of the Course in Miracles for probably 25 plus years. Marianne Williamson is a disseminator of A Course in Miracles. She's the one that she wrote a book called A Return to Love. She's written 1 million books, but it's all based on the theory and principle of A Course in Miracles. If you haven't looked into that, do it. It's a spiritual thought system helping you identify and see the wholeness that you are, the wholeness that others are, to come back to a place of love.
Right.
It's either love or fear, period.
Yes.
Ego is fear.
Yeah, ego is nothing more than a fearful thought, or what we, Jack and I call limiting beliefs. So as you're thinking about this, think about the fears that come up in your mind. I can't do this, or I shouldn't do this. All those things, those are ego. So many people think that ego means that you are arrogant and condescending.
Yeah, it does
and
always
you think
get
you're
linked to that,
so
doesn't it?
amazing. We're talking about the lies and the fears that you believe about yourself that are not true. Our son just got home from climbing.
And he's still alive.
We're glad you're home.
That's good. That's good. Okay, so back to ego,
Yes.
right? A fearful thought. I
Yes.
love that definition. I think it's profound. I just posted a little meme on our Instagram page all about ego is nothing more than a fearful thought.
Yes. I saw that.
You can follow us anywhere. We're on Instagram. Anywhere you go and you're trying to find us, guess how you find us? Just type in Tiff and Jack. You'll find us because that's the way we do it. Always together.
Okay, so let's get into the 4 steps.
Yep.
Shall
let's
we?
do it. Yep.
Okay. So number 1 is all about acceptance. You have to accept people, situations, and events as they are. Not as you wish they were, but as they are. It's kind of like you just got to get real and see what's right there, and then you have to accept it. And that is not always an easy thing to do.
No,
Why?
It really isn't, because it feels so frightening to accept something as it is, because you feel like by accepting it, you're saying you want it to go on forever. And
Yeah,
ever
and that
ever.
you love it.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking. That's not even what's happening.
Acceptance has nothing to do with loving what's going
No.
on. It just means that you're saying, okay, this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And there are no accidents, because whatever you're going through in the moment is always bringing you closer to more of what you want. And not only that, but it is helping you get very clear on exactly what you want, because you're feeling some of the things that you don't want. So it's like, oh, and it's kind of like, say you're standing in California and you want to get to, New York. You have to accept the fact that you're in California so that
to know how to get to
New York. Because if you're like, well, I'm not in California, there is no map unless you are ready to accept where you are. Does that make sense? Do you understand that, babe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And people really get stuck and they're in resistance when they're like, no, I'm not going, this is not going on. This is not happening. This cannot be happening. The minute you can just stand in it, accept full accountability and responsibility, the situation, just see it. It's like, well, okay, this is where I am.
So
this is what's happening.
Have
today.
you in your life, babe, have you ever been in the land of denial?
Well, I think maybe we should talk about how long I've been out of the land of denial.
Okay.
I would say I spent most of my life in living from a place of being in denial, because I was so afraid of what it would mean if I were truly going to wake up and accept where I was and what was going on. And because I was raised in a way to follow the rules and do only what we were being taught to do religiously, I had the most difficult time being able to just really accept where I was, because I was always afraid that it would mean I was just a really shitty person if I wasn't doing things a certain way. So living my life in denial, I would say I lived the bulk of my life in denial. And it wasn't until I hit probably just probably about 38 years old. I'm turning 49 this year, and here in a month, actually. But so what, over 10 years ago, when I started to wake up to the fact that I was living dissociated, I was shutting down, I was always afraid and didn't know what was going on. And I started, because food was a big issue in my life, I started going to a 12-step Overeaters Anonymous meeting. And that's actually where Tiff and I met. I know we've talked about this in some of our other podcasts, but I had been going for 2 years, and that's when I met Tiff. And that's when I started waking up and opening up to a bigger possibility and being actually able to accept where I was. It was a huge shift in my life once I realized that I had been spending most of my days shut down and just not wanting to feel my feelings and not thinking feelings even mattered. Well, let me tell you something. You can't create something more, something better, if you don't identify how you're feeling
and where you are.
And your emotions are your guidance system to see if you're in a high place of manifesting what you want. It was a process.
Yeah. And you've done, oh man, you are the king of acceptance and changing your reality.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to commend you on that. And it makes
I became radically willing to wake up and to see
and
it all.
To accept,
and to make a decision to wake up.
And before Jack, I was in a 21-year marriage to a really nice person, but we were not a match. It's just as simple as that. I have nothing negative to say, like he didn't do this and he didn't do that. All I want to say is we were just not a match. And it took me 21 years to accept that. And I probably knew that 5 years in. And I just kept saying, no, it'll change. And you know, what happens is you're in the long haul with what you're doing until you're done. And then when you're done, you're like, oh, I've got to accept the reality of what's happened.
Yeah.
Here.
And that's when you take a flying leap out of the plane.
It is.
Those are the decisions that we're talking about that you will make, and there will be some unknown, but it's okay. The first step is just accept where you are.
Right.
The people, places, and situation and circumstances, just accept it.
And your life is not meant to be a struggle. So when you do struggle, you are pushing against universal energy. So you're pushing against the flow, which is never very comfortable. Have you noticed how powerful and strong the universal energy is? Like there really is no like manhandling the universe. It's always so much
whack
more
you upside the head with it too before.
To really live in the flow. And the way you can do that is by accepting your circumstance around you.
Yep.
It doesn't mean you have to stay there. Just remember that. Doesn't mean you have to love it. It just means, okay, this is where I am right now.
Yep.
Then number 2.
Ooh, number 2 is tricky. But before we get to number 2, we have a little PDF freebie of these 4 steps. So you can look at a PDF to make it easier. The way you'll do that is just go to our tiffandjack.com, tiffandjack.com, and episode 16. You'll see it, and the PDF will be in the show notes from our website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Please get it because it makes things so simple. Okay, so number 2.
It's a tricky one. Taking full accountability and responsibility for your part of whatever is happening in your life.
Yeah, so you
or
have
that
to
you're
accept
part
where
of
you
whatever's
are.
Happening. Yeah,
you have to accept where you are, which is acceptance, and then you have to take responsibility for where you're at.
Oof.
And sometimes that is a
tricky
mofo.
Moment. A mofo.
A mofo.
So why is it that you would say people don't want to take accountability or responsibility for their
Well,
part
I'll tell you exactly why.
of their life, and why it's the way it is?
Because many times in our life, we're going through really difficult experiences.
Yeah.
Sometimes traumatic, sometimes abusive, sometimes all kinds of like shitty pain. It's the shitty shits, right? And here's the deal, is that no one wants to hear that because of the way they're thinking, they have allowed this experience into their life. Nobody wants to hear that. I mean, being a person where my stepdad sexually abused me, I had the shit kicked out of me. I don't know how many times growing up by different people or groups. I mean, I have had it hard, and I could sit here and whine to you about that all day, but let me tell you something. I had a very strong belief that I was a mistake. I had a very strong belief that I didn't deserve kindness. I had a very strong belief that I was not worth people's time and that I was a burden. And when you believe those things about yourself by the law of attraction, because we are so loved by the universe, we are given the opportunity to become a co-creator with source energy. We get the opportunity to experience things in contrast or in opposition of what we really want. So we get very clear on what we want, and we get so tired of the nasty, the shitty shits, that we choose something different, and then we become empowered. I would never go back and change a single thing that's happened to me ever, because it has introduced me to who I really am, which is a fucking awesome creator. And
Amen.
So you must take responsibility. I think we need to shut the back door because we're getting a bunch of wood stuff coming into our house, and I don't need any more dust. That's going to make me feel hateful and burn my finger again.
But you would take full responsibility for that.
Yep. So as you think about this, and if you want to get upset about, oh, well, it's not my fault that this has happened, and why would I ever want to have a health problem, or why would I ever want that? We're not saying it's what you want. We're saying it's what you're manifesting because of what you believe about yourself. And a lot of us believe a lot of bullshit about who we are, which is the ego. It's the thing of saying, oh, you can't have, or you shouldn't have what you want because of this reason and this reason and this reason. We're here to get you to wake up and take a look at your belief system about yourself. Take a look at your ego and do something to remove those limiting beliefs and start thinking something different. So how do you do that? How do you start thinking something different?
That takes us right into number 3.
Are we done talking about number 4?
I don't know.
Okay.
Number
so
2.
We
aren't to number 4 yet.
Okay. So as you change your thoughts, you are going to change your life. And when you take responsibility for where you are in your life, you have instantly become an empowered human being.
Absolutely. It's your point of power. There's no question about it. But if you're living as a victim and you're like, oh my God, they're doing this to me and my life is so bad because of them. And you say, wait a minute, I'm bringing this into my experience because of something I'm either believing about myself. I accept where I am right now. I take full responsibility for my thoughts getting me here, and now I'm going to create something new.
Yeah, and you know what? You can't take responsibility for yourself if you're blaming yourself for being stupid or for blaming other people for being stupid.
You can't be blaming.
You can't. No more blame.
It's got to stop.
Get the blame out. So as you take responsibility, it's just like, okay, what are my thoughts? Why do I keep creating this over and over? And how many of you listeners out there have had the experience of like, my God, this keeps happening over and over and over? Why is that? The reason it's happening is because there is a belief attached to you that is not true. And the law of attraction, if you believe it, the law of attraction delivers. What you think about the most is what your reality will be. Every time, without fail, it never, ever fails.
And this is our specialty in what we do in our coaching, which I'm going to talk about. If you have ever wanted to explore coaching with us, this is our specialty. We are all about helping you identify and clear out the beliefs that you have about yourself that keep you creating and recreating the same thing over and over and over again, so that you can actually utilize the law of attraction powerfully and quickly to manifest anything you want.
Oh boy. Amen. And I'm sitting here with the experience of sawdust going up my nose, so I might be sneezing a little bit. Please forgive me for that. Well, it's the unexpected. Let me tell you.
Getting real.
Yeah. Okay.
Number 3.
So once you've accepted, once you've taken responsibility, then you can set your intention for what you want. And that is so awesome. Okay. So that means, and we've talked about this a million times in our other podcasts, is you've got to figure out what you want, right? What do you want? And you have to let go of what other people want for you and just get real. If you had all the money in the world and you had all the support by everyone that you loved, what would you be choosing to do at this point in life? If you had everything you needed and you didn't have to worry about money or people being upset with you, what would you spend your time doing?
That is the best question in the world.
It is.
And you need to write this down. It's such a great question. It helps you get clarity every single time and step out of any kind of feeling like you can't have what you want because of everyone else around you or because it'll make you a bad person. It clears that all off so you can just be clear about what it is. What do you want?
Yeah.
And also realize that whatever shitty experience you're in right now or something that's up for you is just giving you more clarity about something more that you want for yourself. That's the gift of it.
So when you're thinking about what you want, you may be like, well, I really want to do this career, but my spouse would be so mad at me because I make really good money and they might leave me. Or my friend wouldn't like this, or my mom would be so disappointed if I chose to live this way instead of the way she wants me to live. Like those are the things that come up in the fears. But the best part about the universe is you don't have to worry about how to figure out how to create the life you want. All you have to do is think about what you want, and then the universe, through the path of least resistance, will come in and rearrange all the details for you, and you will have it. You don't have to sit there and worry about how family's going to feel, how your spouse is going to feel, how this person's going to treat you, because the universe takes care of all that. And sure, you may have some falling away of things that no longer serve you, which is never very comfortable, but you can always trust that you are in the right place at the right time, even if there's some discomfort, because it's always moving you closer to what you want.
Absolutely.
The only thing that really causes the trouble that is just like such a pain in the butt is when we step into resistance. And resistance is like, I'm going to control everything. I'm going to control everyone. And I'm going to make sure everything turns out perfect. It's like trying to take universal power upon yourself. And my God, what a drag.
Ugh.
Like it's too heavy.
It is.
You can't carry the details. You don't even have any idea what details need to be rearranged, because there are millions of details that need to be rearranged for all the things that you desire. So why don't you just let the universe do its job? Step in, be your personal manager of all the details of your life, and just allow that to happen. And that moves us right in. Once you figure out what you want, then you just start thinking about it. Oh, this would be so nice. Wouldn't it be great if this happened? How would I feel if I actually had the house of my dreams? How would it be for me if I had a better relationship with my children? Oh, that would feel so good. And that's the place you're going to want to be. And then you move right in to step 4, which is putting the practice into the action of surrender.
Surrender, baby.
Were you going to say something? Did I just interrupt you?
No. No. So surrender is relinquishing the need to convince others of your point of view, which I never have a hard time with. I just never, ever have issues with trying to control anyone else.
Nothing to say about what you're saying right now.
Yeah. I definitely work on this. I do. I like to control other people, and it never works out. I don't really like to, but I sure have a natural propensity.
Well, I don't really think that it's like, ooh, I really like to control people.
No, but you think.
But I think that you try to take on more power sometimes. And this isn't just you, babe. I do this. Everybody does this. It's like, oh, I'm going to manage my own life. And because I can't see universal power coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to help you out today, then guess what happens? We're like, okay, I'll take care of business.
And a lot of times we kind of deflect from our own shit and look around and think everyone else should be doing it a different way to make us feel better.
Totally.
That's where controlling others comes into play, right?
Oh my gosh, that's so true.
It's like, I don't want to look at anything I might be doing, so I'm just going to look at everyone else's fuck up,
right,
and try to fix them.
Right, because if they're fixed,
we think that's going to make us feel better, and it never will.
It never does.
That's the biggest bullshit story of the day.
Oh my gosh, isn't it? That just makes me, I think maybe I shared this in a podcast. I don't know. I never know what I share. So if I share it again, just act like you love it. So last year I redecorated and created the space that's like a little haven on earth for us, like a vacation away from home, but it's home. So I was so excited during the process. I did all the shopping, and I didn't even take Jack with me shopping, which was so nice because then he wasn't saying, I don't like this. This is stupid.
Part, remember?
Yes. So I'm like, you're staying home. You do what you love, and I'm going to do what I love and what I do best. And so I redecorated, and I just bought beautiful things for our home, got some paintings framed that we'd had for years that are just oil paintings that are gorgeous. And I just took on our yard and our house and made it into a little haven. So when I was done for about 2 weeks, I was just so enjoying. I'd walk through the house and just feel so good. But after that 2 weeks, things just started feeling like they used to feel, which, it's like, oh, maybe I do. Maybe I'm not feeling totally in an inner happiness place. And we have so many times we think that things on the outside, if we can control them, are going to take care of the inner work that we need to do. Now, I wasn't feeling depressed and like, oh, my life sucks crap. I just still felt an empty feeling that I had felt. And I don't even remember what it was because it's gone. But I had to sit with myself and say, okay, what's happening here within me to clear that up? And then I was able to enjoy what I had created here in our home even more. So always remember that as you're in creation mode, if you think you're going to get your inner happiness from what you bring in from the outside in, or trying to control your outward setting, that never, ever works. But when you get your inner stuff going on, when it's all in alignment,
that's when you can
feeling
surrender
good,
too. It's when you have your inner stuff in place.
Yeah. And you really appreciate the outer more.
Yeah, you do. You can have more joy in it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's no point that you ever need to make to defend yourself. You can stop fighting. You can stop resisting. And I want to say something about surrender. Surrender does not mean giving up or giving in.
That's the big fear that people have.
It's like surrender to who? Surrender to what?
Like, oh, I have to give up my dreams. I have to give up what I want.
Yeah, no, that's not what we're saying.
You're just giving up the detail. You're giving up the management of all the details of how you're going to get it.
Yes. Because that belongs to the job of the universe. And if you knew that you had a magical force out there, a powerful force that was going to rearrange you, and you could trust implicitly that that energy never fails, how would that feel to you? How would it feel to you, babe? How does it feel to you?
It feels fantastic.
It is such a relief.
And the practice comes because we're human. We get all caught up again trying to control the details, but then you move back into a state of surrender and allow the universe to manage those details. And we talk about this incessantly because it's the place where you're going to dump the overwhelm. Mm-hmm, this is where you actually live the happy, when you're in a surrendered state and you're living the path of least resistance.
Man, surrender to me is like the best vacation ever.
It's when you're trusting that the universe has your back. Mm-hmm. It's managing the details that you don't even know exist. It's not your job to do this. It's the universe's job to assist you. And the path of least resistance is what brings in all the things that you're manifesting in your life.
Yeah. And before I forget, I just want to touch something on setting intentions one more time. So many people out there are teaching about how to set your intention, that every single day you think about this and this and this. And if you do this religiously, then you're going to finally manifest. And what I want to tell you is that's still a place of force. This is the easy way, okay? Listen up, everyone, because this is the way to do it that just makes life so vacation-like. When you have an experience that you are not liking, when you're in that unsettled feeling and you start thinking, I don't want this anymore, immediately turn your mind, okay, what do I want? Well, I want this. And you think about it, you feel it, and immediately the universe has captured that desire. You have, like Abraham says, you shot that rocket of desire out into universal energy. The universe is not going to forget, but you might. So your job is to take control of the only thing you have control of, and that is your thoughts. Mm-hmm. So when that nasty thought comes in and says, hey, you haven't got what you're manifesting yet, obviously you're doing something wrong. That kind of thing.
You should be meditating more. You should be doing this more.
Yeah, it puts you right into resistance. Harder. And what you need to do at that moment, that's when you remind yourself of what it is that you set your intention for and feel it again. This isn't because the universe needs you to do it over and over and over. All you have to do is have that one thought of what you want, and it is captured permanently, and it will come to you. The only thing that slows it down is when you get into resistance and think, well, how come I don't have it? And
Resistance
you start focusing.
is the only thing that blocks you.
It's the only thing. And if you are thinking about what you don't want, you are in resistance, and it blocks you from manifesting
And you don't have
the
to
thing
be,
you want.
yeah. And you don't have to be afraid if you're in resistance. Just take these 4 steps.
Yes.
Just accept the situation you're in. Take responsibility for your thoughts bringing you right here. Set an intention, or just remember, like Tiff was saying, go back to that good feeling place of what it is you're intending for yourself.
And then surrender.
And then surrender it. Surrender the management of the details.
And just know
let
the universe has got your back and is going to take care for you. And before you know it, you will be sitting smack dab in the middle of your desire.
You will. And then you'll have a new desire. And it goes on and on and on.
These 4
It's
steps are
beautiful.
just so helpful.
And we definitely, the freebie, we'll have this freebie, right? Jump over on the website, tiffandjack.com. Remember that the universe has your back. You're not alone. What you want wants you.
Yes. It's calling you. It's saying, hey, I'm over here.
Hey, good looking.
Think about me, because when you think about me, I'm going to be put right in universal energy, and I'll be there before you know it.
Yep. If you've ever had any thought of coaching with us, again, just jump over to our website, and everything that you need is right there. Thank you for joining us today. It's been our pleasure, as it always is. And we're so glad to be here.
Don't forget to eat dessert first,
because life truly is meant to be devoured.
We're Tiff and Jack, and we will be back.
Always.